Thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's been a minute, so we wanted to just bring you on and ask you a bunch of tough questions.
Sure, I got up with the chickens just to be in your show.
Thank you, appreciate it. Well, I guess we'll just give you the floor to tell us what's been going on with the SBA pandemic response wise since the last time we spoke.
Well, initially, when we first had the paycheck payroll paycheck protection program, it's called PPP, normally known as. Uh, that was a fast and furious situation where we, through the lending community, we lend out millions of dollars of loans. That program actually ended on August 8th of this year. And we lent out approximately $192 million to about 2,208 recipients here in Guam. As a result of that program expiring on August 8th, we've now shifted over our activities to what's called the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. That program does not end to the end of the year, the end of this year, December 31st. So people who are still in need of disaster assistance can still avail themselves from the EIDL program.
How many people currently have taken advantage of the EIDL program?
Well, as of September 13th, about two months ago, there was about 1,300 businesses that availed themselves of the program, about $77 million in the EIDL. Those numbers have gone up as a result of the shift over from the PPP program to EIDL. So I anticipate that those numbers will probably be close to the 2,000 range.
Mm-hmm. And you said this was until the end of this year. Well, first, just with the EIDL, what exactly is offered with the EIDL program?
Well, with the EIDL, it's a 6-month working capital program that you can utilize the monies for working capital purposes. You can buy inventory. The only thing that we require that you do not utilize the money for is for expansion purposes. So in other words, you're not supposed to use the money to grow your business. You're supposed to use the funds basically primary to help you, assist you during the pandemic time when you lost revenues, you lost sales, you're paying employees and so forth. So that program can pretty much do everything that it needs to do, even pay for taxes too, foregoing taxes. So that program can be utilized with a lot of flexibility. The program also allows you to pay the loan off in about 30 years and with a fixed interest rate of 3.75%. So that's an ideal program for those who are suffering from the disaster.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said that it's till the end of this year that the EIDL program is being offered. Are you seeing a lot of businesses scrambling to take advantage of this? Or is it kind of like dropped off and tapered off?
Well, it kind of dropped off a little bit because majority of the businesses have already availed themselves of the PPP. Some of them have actually gone and requested for additional monies to the EIDL. But it's kind of tapered off a little bit because some of the businesses were able to sustain themselves, keep themselves afloat for the next couple months. However, we're foreseeing that within the next couple of months too, leading into next year, this pandemic's not gonna, totally stop. So there's going to be other means in which the businesses need to find working capital just to sustain themselves, which is the reason why Congress is trying to create additional language within the CARES Act to extend the program out, for a couple more months. But that's still an uncertainty because of the fact that Congress hasn't convened yet to decide whether or not they're going to do something to assist the business community.
Mm-hmm. Are you hearing anything in the business community on, so what are we going to do if Congress doesn't act by the end of this year? Are there any backup plans or anything?
Well, for most of the businesses, they still can avail themselves of regular programs. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the real low interest rate programs that they normally see within the community as of late. So there are still some financial options that they can look at too. But again, keep in mind that these options may be limited, may be restrictive. to the point where some of these businesses aren't able to open up their business operations at this point in time. So a lot of times, those options are very constricted for small businesses out there that are suffering.
So 2,200 for PPP, 1,300 businesses with EIDL. Have you or the SBA seen any instances of fraud?
Yes, we've actually have been involved with the entertaining some fraud related matters here locally as well as within the CNMI. And some of these matters have been brought to the attention of our IG office as well as brought to the attention of the SBA disaster loan activities because we see it in the sense that they're duplicating someone else's EIN number or they're utilizing some other source of information that's false, and as a result, they're defrauding the government in that sense of the monies there. So it is pretty evident, and it's pretty evident throughout the country too that a lot of people are taking advantage of the program for its intended use.
How many businesses can you say?
That has come towards my desk, probably about 5 right now that I can say that that are legitimate causes, concerns that we've had to address. I'm sure there are more because we offered a hotline in which the business community or even the community as a whole can provide information to the SBA and provide the information to the Inspector General's office as to potential individuals or businesses that are partaking in the fraud schemes that are going on today.
And these are the 5 when local, Guam and CNMI. Can you break that down? How many on Guam and how many from the CNMI?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't do that because it's ongoing investigation. So I can at least say that 5 have crossed my desk and we've been processing it too.
And these 5 are these 5 that have actually been given money, or are these 5 you
yes,
caught it right at the beginning during the application process?
Right. It's they've been funded to the point where they actually have the funds. Potential fraud could be those who have not received the monies yet, but potentially are frauding the government because they falsified information. So it can be a combination of the two, potential and actual fraud.
Okay, so just to confirm, there's an active investigation into at least 5 companies from Guam and the CNMI trying to defraud these SBA programs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and there could potentially be more.
Yes. Say yes.
Ken, what are these when these businesses come in and apply for these programs? What are some of the stories you're hearing about the struggles they're going through during this pandemic and this second surge?
Well, I think something that we see on a regular basis, that we see in the media a lot, is that the restrictions on opening up the business, number one. If a business can't open their operations, can't open their doors, then it makes it very difficult for them to generate revenues. It makes it difficult for them to hire employees or get their employees back in order. Most particularly in the tourism industry, without the airlines opening up, without the tourists coming into Guam, then of course our tourist industry is going to be affected by it. They try to mitigate some of those issues by marketing towards the local community, but even at that, it's not a stable market that they can look into or something that's going to be lucrative in their part. So it makes it challenging for them to do that. The great thing that we have is that we've had other industries that are thriving, such as the construction industry thriving. In that there's been a lot of military contracts coming into Guam, but then again we just recently hit a roadblock, or at least a speed bump of the road, when we had a cluster of COVID activities occurring within the construction industry, which kind of slowed things down in that respect. But they've managed to mitigate some of those issues there, and now are continuing their operations within the construction industry. So I guess it all depends on what you're looking at, what kind of industry you're facing with. There are some industries that have been able to thrive. The banking industry has continued to continue its operations. Accountants continue their operations. Insurance companies and even the attorneys, for that matter, have continued their operations. So those are industries that we're not seeing that are closing down, because you're always going to need a banker. You're always going to need accountants. You're always going to need insurance companies. You're always going to need legal entities or companies out there to help you mitigate things. And so, sometimes some of the stories are horrific, but you have some successes out there, and that's something that we need to kind of highlight and show out there, that you can survive this pandemic. You can survive the situation. Just be a little bit more frugal and a little bit more conscientious of where you're getting your credit and how to get your credit, and so that way you can survive in this community that we live in now.
Who are or what are some of the successes that you're talking about?
Again, if you look at the construction industry, there's a lot of contractors out there that are actually successfully getting military contracts, federal government contracts, and sustaining themselves, sustaining the operations, hiring personnel, and so forth. So they're actually working out to the point where they've expanded their operations. They're getting larger contracts to work within a base. So, those are some of the successes. You got other companies out there that are providing services to the community that they need now. They've changed their business model, in the sense that now their model is more geared towards the demands and the needs of the community as of today, and how the community lists itself upon. Such as changing from a dine-in facility to a takeout facility, and those are business models that have been changing, that have helped a lot of businesses actually out there to continue their operations, because they're able to manage and control their costs. So we've got a lot of successes out there, but a lot of people don't want to be recognized, because again, within a heartbeat, something may change, and then all of a sudden, things may change for them as well in terms of their operations.
Right.
In other words, another closure.
Right.
If there's another closure in that particular industry, that can be devastating for that industry.
Right. I was talking to a couple restaurant owners, and they were saying that they're actually doing business at a level where it's near pre-pandemic with the takeout and the dine out. So I thought that was promising. I'm not saying it's every restaurant, but obviously there's a lot of people on Guam that don't know how to cook. I'm like, whoa.
Well, Chris, for every calamity, there's an opportunity, and right. I've always been, being optimistic in that sense. But people need to, businesses need to adjust. They need to change according with the wind. If the wind blows in a certain direction, you got to change with the wind. And if they don't do that, and they remain stagnant, and obviously, their operation is going to remain the way it is, because people are now saying, I've got to wear a mask when I go in your establishment. I mean, that's protocol now. Right. And if they don't modify their procedures, then of course you can't walk in that establishment. Therefore, you can't buy. So you have to make it reasonable to meet the government standards, but at the same time too reasonable to meet the demands of the consumer. And if they don't do that, then of course you're going to continue to be stagnant and status quo, and you're not going to get your revenues that you want. So everyone needs to make their adjustments, as we've done so for the past couple of months. Even at home, we made our adjustments as to our living styles and conditions. I mean, sometimes my family wants to kick me out of the house because they said I'm too bossy here in the house, working in the house. So I had to modify my arrangements here and make it possible for both my family and myself working at home.
So how's the couch?
Great feeling. I just got to fluff it up every now and then with a couple of pillows.
You flip the cushions around once in a while. Ken, do you think
Exactly.
though that because I noticed what you were saying about a lot of these businesses being scared to say they're successful because I'm paraphrasing, they might jinx it, right? So we saw earlier on in the pandemic it was so herky-jerky, helter-skelter, where it was like 1 week you're open, next closed, and then, you know what I mean? So businesses are just like, getting hit head on. But it's interesting during this P-Core Fun status, I feel like a lot of these businesses that have been allowed to open are getting a good footing because we've gone so long consistently under this current lockdown that they're seeing that steady stream of customers come in, as opposed to before it was like get customers 3 weeks, then strict lockdown, nothing. You know what I mean? So do you feel like businesses are kind of getting their footing and maybe hitting a good stride? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I can share one success story with you because it was just recently our Small Business Person of the Year winner, Graphic Center here in Guam. They're one of our success stories. As a matter of fact, this year I recognized them as SBA Small Business Person of the Year award winner. And I asked them when I visited their office there, I said, so how did you fare off in this pandemic? And they said, they've actually fared off pretty well. At first, it was kind of dicey at first because of the fact that, their restrictions, shutdowns and so forth. But once those shutdowns were lifted, they modified their work activity, keeping the social distancing requirements, wearing a mask, and wiping down their hands, sanitizing hands, and so forth. The standard CDC protocol. However, they've also actually developed a lot of businesses as a result because everybody needed a placard on the floor that says 6 feet apart, or they need placards, signages all over the place.
Right.
That would designate CDC requirements. So they've actually were able to sustain themselves, and at the same time too, believe it or not, they're the ones who are also printing out the GWA and GPA notices on a monthly basis. So even the local government has helped sustain businesses like that with projects that they can use on a monthly basis. So they've been doing well during the pandemic. Especially now that people are now looking for placards and signages and so forth. That's helped them out. So, if I could put a plug in for them too, they've been a good success during the pandemic situation.
Yeah, you're right. You don't really think about that when you're lining up at the bank. You look down, they got all these stand here, stand there, go there, touch your nose, jump through the thing. Yeah. Someone's got to print that stuff.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Ken?
Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask, aside from the PPP and the EIDL, are there any other programs that the SBA or services the SBA has for businesses?
We have our regular program, which is called the 70 Loan Program. We can provide financial assistance up to $350,000 on an express type of situation where if you need the monies right away, we have a 24-hour turnaround time in which we can facilitate the decision back to the local lender. You don't have to wait that long for that. Our programs also can assist those who want to go beyond the $350,000 threshold up to $5 million. We can help facilitate that. Just recently, I had an inquiry from a company that wanted to borrow $5 million to expand their operations. And when I heard that, I said, this is great. You want to expand your operations. You want to renovate, the place and get ready for post-pandemic activities. I said, that's great. They must have a lot of cash flow, which is also important for a business too. So I'm seeing signs like that there's life, there's a heartbeat that's being created within the community. And those are good signs that once you see it and hear heartbeats, it makes me more motivated to try to help more people out there in the community to get the financing that they need to expand their operations.
Thanks, Ken.
Any contact? You want to throw out some contact info, Ken, there for anybody who's watching, maybe want to get a hold of you guys?
Sure, you can contact me at 472-7277 or email me at kenneth.lujan@sba.gov or visit our SBA website, sba.gov. And especially a lot of people call me up, especially nowadays with respect to their EIDL loan. I know it's been trying, just waiting for SBA to respond to you, but keep in mind that we've had about 15 million loan applications throughout the country coming into SBA, and they're trying their best to try to get the information out, or at least get your approval status out to the community. But if you run into any roadblocks that you can't get any responses from SBA back in the mainland, please email me or call me and let me know what the situation is, and I'll probably kind of intervene in your behalf to see what the status is with your EIDL loan application. So, that's the best we can do from our end is do a status update for you in your behalf. But continue to look at not only the SBA, but also look at your local lenders. They're the frontliners, shall we say, in terms of obtaining financial assistance that you can get. You can also utilize our Small Business Development Center, our SBDC, for those of you who want to change your business model, need a business plan to revise your business plan, or need additional training as to how do we overcome this pandemic environment that we live in now. Small Business Development Center can help you with that. They provide free assistance to you. It's free. You can use it at any time or another. It's also confidential, so they're not going to go there and tell Chris or Sabrina about your business plans and operations. They may tell Jason, but they won't tell you guys.
Thank you, Ken. Did you get that, Jay?
You're welcome.
Yeah. Jay just what? Someone said my name. Appreciate it. Thanks for waking up early for us, Ken.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All
Of
right.
course, our
Stay
pleasure.
safe.
Take it
Happy
easy.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, take care, and don't burn that turkey.
I think a Breeze turkey's burnt before it even hit the oven.
All right, guys, take care.
Take it easy.
Bye.
All right. Hey, we'll take a break. We're coming back with Dr. Peter Lombard and crunching some COVID stats. Pretty sure that car score will come up too. Right here on the link. It's proudly brought to you by Burger King, Dow Rentone, IT&E, Calvo Select Care, where federal employees and annuitants 2020 open enrollment season. You can enroll now with Calvo Select Care from now until December 14th. You call 477-9808 for more info. Also brought to you by the Thrive Coalition, Calvo Enterprises, and Carrier at 647